Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you are new. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button and let's get right into today's video. So for today's video, I'm going to be doing some dip powder nails and using half cover nail tips, showing you all how to do the apex method or how to build an apex with dip powder when you are using half cover nail tips. I feel that doing this method, it is not as beginner friendly as if you were using full cover nail tips. I personally prefer doing a dip powder overlay on full cover nail tips just because I do feel it's a lot easier. You do not need to use the apex method or really worry too much about building your structure. So this definitely is a method. Maybe if you cannot get the prep down for your full cover nail tips and they're popping off and you just feel that using half cover nail tips helps the nails last a lot longer. But I would say that doing this method is a little bit more challenging than applying dip powder over full cover nail tips. But I did want to show it in today's video. I don't think I've ever done a apex method tutorial using dip powder on my YouTube channel. I've definitely done it over on Instagram, but not here on YouTube. I've had a few questions asking about this method, asking for a video, so I decided that I would go ahead and do it. I also really wanted to do some sweater nails, so I decided that I would do the sweater nails and also do the apex method using dip powder. So I am going to be using products from Kiara Sky today. I will be linking everything down below in the description box. If you do want to purchase anything, you can also use my discount code Nailedbybrandi10 to save some money off your purchase. But I just pulled out my supplies. I will be using their half cover non-C-curve nail tips, the stick it nail glue to apply them. I will also be using the dip powder base activator, and then I am using a all-in-one powder. I think it is I can't remember the name actually, running latte it may possibly be. And then I will also be using the natural dip powder to build up the structure and the apex on my nails. So for my nail prep, I did apply a peel off base coat. I did buff the shiny layer off the peel off base coat though. That way when I was applying the half cover nail tips with the nail glue, it would stick. If you do want your nails to last, of course, like I always say, you do want to go in and prep your natural nails. But because I will be removing these, I did just go in with that peel off base coat. I glued on the nail tips. I clipped down the length to something a little bit more reasonable and something that will fit into the dip powder jars. And then now I'm just going in with a little bit of shaping just to shape up the nail tips. And then I also went in with a buffer just to remove the shine from the nail tip surface. So because we're using half cover nail tips, we of course need to build structure and strength for these nails. So that is where the apex method comes in at, helping you build an apex. So I'm using the dip base, also the natural dip powder shade, and starting off my first layer, I am taking the brush a little above where the nail tip and the free edge of my natural nail starts and going all the way down to the free edge of the nail tip, just doing one stroke down the center, but I am not taking the dip base up to the cuticle area of my natural nail. I tried to film this as best as possible so you guys can really see. It is a little difficult to see exactly what I'm doing since the natural powder is more of like a clear powder and you can't really see where it's being applied to the nail. But I feel like when I am going in with that dip base for all of the layers, you can see where I am applying it. So for the second layer, I am just repeating that same process, but just covering a little bit more of the natural or the nail extension. So instead of just doing one line going down the nail, I'm covering just a little bit more of the sides of the nail tip, and then I'm just dipping into the dip powder and repeating to all of the other nails. Before moving on to any next layers of applying the base and re-dipping into the powder, I do always go in with a dust brush and remove all of the nail dust. That is a super important step when using dip powder because you don't want the remaining powder to get into your base coat brush, and then the base is going to harden, and we don't want that. We want to try to avoid that. So make sure you do go in with a dust brush just to remove all of the dust from your previous dip before going in with your next dip. So I'm now going in with my third and final dip using the natural powder. And again, I'm just covering more of the surface. For this go around, the natural powder, I'm applying the base to the entire nail extension. So the entire nail tip, I'm applying the base, covering that whole part. And then of course the part where I went up a little bit where my natural nail and the free edge or the nail tip meets the free edge of my natural nail. So I'm just dipping once more into the powder and repeating to all of the other nails. So you can see here that I now have a structure on these nails and I have not even yet applied my dip powder color. If I were using full cover nail tips, I would already have this structure on the nails. That's why I was saying that this method is a little bit more challenging. It also does take a little bit more time to do versus if you're just applying the dip base on full cover nail tips and going straight into the colored dip powder like I'm starting here. So now that I do have the apex built, the structure built on all of the nails, I am going to be taking my colored dip powder and applying 2 coats of this onto all of the nails. Again, applying the dip base, dipping into the powder, repeating the process to all of the nails, and then before I go in with my second go around of the colored dip powder, I will take a dust brush to remove any of the remaining dust before going in with a layer of base coat. I feel even with this method, like I was saying again, if you do struggle with applying full cover nail tips and making them last, I do know that is something people can struggle with. So using half cover nail tips and applying the products such as polygel, acrylic, dip powder to their natural nails as well as a nail extension nail tip, it can really help their nails last a lot longer. Something I struggle with this method is getting a really clean and crisp dip powder application. I feel like when I build up the nail and do the apex method with the several different coats of the natural dip powder, I always feel like in the end when I go to apply my color, the nails are a bit wonky looking and definitely do need a little bit more filing versus if I were to apply a colored dip powder directly onto a full cover jelly nail tip, for example. But either way, practice makes perfect. This method can really help your dip powder nails last. And of course, if you are using half cover nail tips, you're really going to need to nail this method or your nails are just going to break because they are not going to be strong enough, especially when doing this length of nails. It will also just help your nails look a little bit more salon quality and make them look a lot nicer looking. So once I did go in with 2 layers of the colored dip powder, I let everything dry for a couple of minutes and then I went in with a very generous coat of the activator, applied that to all of the nails. I sat for about 5 minutes just scrolling through my phone, and then once everything was hard, I am going in now and doing my filing. I will use a hand file to help crisp up the nail shape, also using my mini mandrel and a sanding band just to help debulk the nails. And then I will also take a buffer to help buff everything out and make sure everything is smooth. After I was finished filing, I took a dust brush to remove all of the nail dust, and now I am going in with my second layer of activator. After filing, you do always want to make sure you go in with another coat of activator just to make sure all of the layers of dip powder are fully hardened and you aren't going to have any gummy layers. So I just went in with a coat of activator. Again, I sat for about 5 minutes just to let everything harden up and just scrolled on my phone. And now I'm ready to go in with any nail art that I want to add to the nails. So I'm using this very beautiful gel color from Kiara Sky. I recently picked this one out in a PR package and I absolutely love the color. I think it is such a beautiful color. It's like a green with a gray tone in it. I just, chef's kiss. I love this color so much. So I'm going to be using this for the nail set today. And like I mentioned, I'm going to be doing some sweater nails. So starting on the middle and the ring finger, I'm going to be doing this as the base color on those nails. And I applied 2 coats of this color, curing for 30 seconds in between each coat. For the index and pinky, I will also be doing sweater nails, but I decided that I wanted to keep the nude base, the dip powder, on some of the nails, so I decided that I would just use that same greenish gray color and create French tips on these nails. So using a liner brush, I am just going to be creating my smile line, filling that in, curing for 30 seconds, and then of course I will do the same process, creating a French tip on my pinky. Because I wanted to add a second coat just like I did on the other nails, I will also be going in with a second coat on both of the French tips and curing for another 30-second cure. Because I am doing sweater nails and I want the 3D look, I am now going to go in and apply a glossy top coat to all of the nails and cure that for 30 seconds. For the sweater design, I will be using a clear all-in-one powder, and then of course I will be using the same like green gel polish color. For my sweater design, a big tip I want to give you all is definitely if you want that 3D aspect or 3D look of the sweater design, make sure you are going in and applying your top coat first, because if you draw on your sweater design, it is going to be absolutely impossible to go around the design to top coat the back half of the nail unless you just want to apply the top coat over the entire sweater design. But I feel like the whole purpose of this design is so you get that 3D aspect and have like the acrylic powder on your nail, the texture of it. So definitely make sure you do not forget the top coat, go in with that, cure that, and then take your gel polish, draw on the sweater design that you want to add onto the nail. For me, I generally like doing 2 parallel lines, creating a 11 going all the way down the center. I then take 2 parallel lines and go down both sides of the 11s that I had drawn on the nail. On the sides of the 2 longer lines, I will add some dots, and then I will also create almost like an S shape, but not really, just that cable net look for the sweater. I will draw that. And then before curing the gel, of course, you want to pour over your clear acrylic powder. Doing this to get a very good look, like making it look 3D, giving it the sweater look and not giving off a waxy look. You definitely want to make sure that you're pouring over the powder. I like to pour it over a couple of times, so I'll pour over the powder onto the wet gel, I'll tap it off, I'll pour over again, I'll tap it off, I'll pour it over again, and then I will let the nail sit for a little bit so the acrylic can soak up into the gel polish, and then I will do my 60-second cure. Something I've definitely learned with this method is if you do not want a waxy look, or if you are getting a waxy look when you're trying to do this method, you are not letting the acrylic powder soak up into your gel polish before curing. If you want the really like beautiful like 3D texture, making it look like the nail is almost like a sweater or velvet look, you definitely want to pour that acrylic powder on a few times, let it sit up and soak into the gel polish before you go in and actually do your cure. If you let the acrylic soak into the gel, you are going to get absolutely beautiful sweater nails. They are going to look absolutely perfect every time, and you are not going to get that waxy look. So like I said, I'm doing the sweater on all of the nails. I did it on the 2 full green nails. Now I'm going in doing the same process to the French tip nails. I'll pour over the acrylic. Again, I'll let it set up. That way the acrylic powder can soak into the gel. And then I will do a 60-second cure. Brushing off the remaining acrylic powder on the sweater design has to be one of my favorite parts. I just think it's so satisfying to brush off any remaining acrylic and just see the beautiful sweater design. I love that so much. But once I was finished with that, I just went in with my cuticle oil, applied that to my cuticles to nourish them, and of course, like I always say, top off the nail set. And I absolutely love how these nails turned out. This gel polish color from Kiara Sky, if you love green, this color is a must have. I think it is so gorgeous. I love like the almost like a gray tone in it. It's a very like muted green, and I think it is absolutely beautiful. This nail set would be perfect for like fall, and of course even a beautiful Christmas set. I love it so much. This 3D sweater design is one of my favorite trends. And now that I know the hack not to get the waxy like sweater look on the nails and make it look more like a velvet or soft texture, I could do this design all the time. I think they turn out so freaking good. I love how this nail set turned out, and honestly, I can't believe that they are dip powder nails. I think they just look so good. I'm really proud of myself. Even once I had the 2 layers of colored dip powder, I was like, oh no, is this set going to be a fail? But I was able to fix it by filing, and I just really absolutely love the end result of this nail set. I will be leaving the links to the products that I use down below in the description box. But as always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you all next time.